Alrighty, Louis the 14th, King of France for a long period of time, the Sun King, because like the sun, everyone rises with him. Rules from he lives, from 1638 up until about 1715. That man right there with the long curly black hair in beautiful, rich, fancy clothing, robes, and tights, because he's Louis XIV. He is the King of France. He can do what he wants. Now, the important thing to understand about Louis XIV is he is an absolute monarch. He is the one who is in charge of the country. Louis XIV is France, more or less. Okay, what Louis XIV wants, Louis XIV gets. Have no way of arguing against him on that one. Additionally, it's important if you want to understand why Louis XIV is the way he is. France, before this time period, has a tradition of having some very weak kings. Kings that really don't have a lot of power and really can't get much done. They're kind of just there and not really doing anything. And as a result of that, France becomes fairly weak itself. Louis XIV is going to go and he's going to change that right through there. Grr, sorry about my notifications popping up. Next, the Sun King, okay? So Louis XIV calls himself the Sun King. He is known as the Sun King. And you're gonna have to be able to explain to me why this is. First and foremost, the world revolves around Louis, okay? Everything in France revolves around what is Louis doing. If he is awake, you are awake. If he's doing this, you need to be doing that as well. Just like the Earth revolves around the sun and the entire solar system revolves around the sun, additionally, you and your life revolve 100% around Louis. So there's going to be some questions talking about the significance of why Louis XIV was referred to as the Sun King, okay? That's really why it is. Everything revolves around Louis. Louis is the state, okay? Louis is France. Now, the important thing to realize about him is he is going to become king at age 4. Now, I want you to think for yourself, why might it be problematic to have a 4-year-old running a country, okay? So if you have younger siblings, younger cousins, anything like that, think back to they're at 4 years old. Now imagine giving them an entire country. As you can imagine, this is not going to be very successful. There is going to be a number of problems that are going to arise with this. Okay, so you can't have a 4-year-old deciding politics and government, okay? Try talking to a 4-year-old about what kind of cake they like best, and you might be lucky to have a conversation. That even could be challenging, let alone asking him how you should manage poverty in your country. It's going to be a problem, but what's going to happen is during this time period, his mother, the former queen, okay, and then the chief minister, who was a cardinal, Catholic man, high up rank within the church, they're going to kind of rule the country for him because you cannot have a 4-year-old be king. So Louis XIV, at the age of 4, is considered the king, but his mother and the chief minister are the ones who are ruling the country. Okay, the chief minister is kind of like the prime minister, different title, kind of different job, but for the most part, they're pretty much the same. They are going to rule France, not Louis XIV, because he's 4 years old. You can't have a 4-year-old in charge. But when Louis XIV is going to get a little bit older and start to get in power, he's going to realize that the foreign minister and his mother took advantage of him, okay? They did not do what was best for the country. They did what was best for them, and they used Louis XIV, the king, and their close relationship to that 4-year-old boy as a way to rule, okay? And Louis is like, don't mess with me, bro! He's not very happy about this at all, and it's going to really influence why he is the way he is, why he becomes such a strong and powerful ruler, why he calls himself the Sun King, because everything's going to revolve around him. He wants it that way. He's like, don't do what you did before. Don't take advantage of me. I am the state. I am the one in charge, okay? Now, let's break down that quote for a second. I am the state. The state is referring to France, okay? I am France. Louis XIV is saying this. He is France. Whatever France does happens because of Louis XIV. Whatever France does not happens because of Louis XIV. If you attack Louis XIV, you are attacking all of France. That is treason. Do not do it. Okay, everything in France revolves around Louis XIV. He is king. He is absolutely an absolute monarch, absolutely in charge. Now, the important important thing he's going to be doing, though, a number of different things. There's a series of nobles in France. Okay, we have the robe nobles and we have the sword nobles. Okay, the robe nobles born in there, and the sword nobles are going to be the kind of older ones, more militaristic kind of status right there. And he is going to replace the sword nobles with robe nobles. Okay, more nobles of money versus nobles of power. Now, this is important because it's going to change the status quo. Just like Peter the Great would have changed the status quo, kind of changing the way everything was before into something different with modernization, Louis XIV is going to be doing that in France, getting rid of the sword nobles and bringing in the robe nobles. Now, with this happening, you're going to have a group of people that are going to be very happy, the robe nobles, but you're also going to have a group of people that are going to be very upset, which are going to be the sword nobles. This instability is going to cause a number of problems in France. People don't know what's coming next. They're going to be worried, and that's going to lead to a series of problems. Additionally, this is going to start causing a series of economic problems in France that are going to last for about the next 100 years before they go and cut off the king's head and a bunch of other good, disgusting, gross stuff going on at that time period. But there's not going to be as much money happening here. France isn't bringing in money like France needs to bring in money. People aren't buying and selling stuff like they need to, so France is going to fall into an economic recession, which is going to cause a lot of tension between the people and France as well. One of the most important things Louis is going to do, though, is going to establish Code Louis, which is simply a standardized set of laws. So the problem here is not all of France have the same kind of laws. So something that might be illegal in northern France would not be illegal in southern France. You might get punished for something one way in northern France, get punished for something the same thing in a totally different way in southern France. This is problematic because you want to have consistency within your country, and having this same set of laws, the Code Louis, that he is going to establish is going to allow this consistency, going to allow France to kind of come together as one compared to being apart as these bunch of different kind of like, we're northern France, we're going to do things our way, you're southern France, you're going to do things your way. He's going to establish the standardized set of laws, and finally he is going to revoke the Edict of Nantes. Okay? Now, the Edict of Nantes was founded by his great uncle, which simply stated you can be Catholic or you can be Protestant in France. You have religious freedom at this time period. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic, even though we're Catholic as kings. If you're not Catholic, that's going to be okay. Louis XIV is going to say, no, we're getting rid of that. If you are going to live in France, you are going to be Catholic. No ands, ifs, or buts. It's the only religion you can have here. Don't challenge me on this one because I'm the state. I get what I want. And that is going to be something Louis is going to do. Okay, so the lasting impact of Louis. That is all for right now. I'll talk about the palace at Versailles later. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Comment down below if you have any questions, and have a good day.